The wine bottle slipped. Just half an inch. Maybe less. But it was enough for a single drop of Chateau Margaux, worth more than Nia Mensah earned in a month, to land near the Hermès Birkin bag. The slap came before Nia could even apologize. Her head snapped to the side. The entire restaurant went silent. 50 of Seoul's most powerful people, politicians, CEOs, celebrities, all stopped mid-conversation to watch a Ghanaian waitress get put in her place. Madame Han Soo-jin rose from her seat like a queen passing judgment. Her diamond necklace caught the light as she leaned forward, her voice dripping with contempt. African trash. You come to our country and you can't even serve wine properly. Nia's cheek burned. Her eyes watered. But she'd learned in her 3 years in Korea that showing pain only made things worse. She bowed. Deep. Submissive. I'm so sorry, ma'am. Please forgive me. It won't happen again. The manager, Mr. Kong, rushed over. Not to check if Nia was okay. Not to defend her. But to grovel at Madame Han's feet. We are deeply sorry, Madame Han. This employee will be terminated immediately. No. Madame Han's lips curled into a cruel smile. She reached into her purse and pulled out a stack of bills. Then she threw them at Nia's feet. Pick them up. Maybe you Africans will finally learn where you belong in our country. Every eye in the restaurant watched as Nia Mensah, who once dreamed of becoming a nurse, who sent everyone home to support her sick mother and younger sisters, got on her knees and picked up cash like a dog gathering scraps. She didn't cry. Not there. Not in front of them. But 3 hours later, alone in her Goshawan room barely bigger than a closet, she finally let the tears fall. What none of them knew, what Madame Han would soon discover to her horror, was that the gentleman Nia was engaged to, the one who brought her jollof rice and learned Chui phrases to make her smile, was Baek Joon-seo, the Black Tiger of Busan, the most feared Mafia boss in South Korea. And when he found out what happened to his queen, Seoul's elite would learn a lesson they'd never forget. Welcome to Afro-Korean Chronicles TV, where love crosses borders and breaks barriers. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. Now, let's dive into how a single slap changed everything. Nia sat on her floor that night, ice pressed to her swollen cheek. Her phone buzzed. Me Daiki, my queen. Did you eat? I'm bringing food. She smiled despite the pain. His chui was terrible, but he tried. 15 minutes later, Joon-seo knocked softly. She quickly hid the ice pack and opened the door. He stood there in an expensive black suit, holding bags from her favorite Ghanaian restaurant. When he looked at her, his eyes were soft. Nothing like the man Seoul's underworld feared. I brought kelaweel and jollof. And I asked them to make it exactly how you said your mother makes it. Her heart melted. This dangerous man was trying to recreate her mother's cooking. But then he saw her face. His entire body went rigid. The bags fell from his hands. Who did this to you? Joon-seo. It's nothing. Don't. He stepped closer, his hand reaching toward her bruised cheek, but stopping just before touching it. Don't lie to me, Nia. Who put their hands on you? She could see it in his eyes. The black tiger waking up. I bumped into a cabinet at work. I'm clumsy, you know that. He stared at her. Finally, he took a breath and picked up the food. Okay. But if that cabinet ever bothers you again, tell me. She leaned her head on his shoulder while they ate, pretending they were just a normal couple. I'm leaving it all behind, he said suddenly. The business, the violence, everything. You've said that before. This time I mean it. He pulled out a worn notebook. Inside were detailed plans. Properties listed for sale. Business connections to sever. Timelines. 6 months, Nia. I've already sold the first nightclub. Use the money to buy this. He opened a small box. Inside was a simple gold ring with a single diamond. I bought it with clean money. From a legitimate business transaction. Nia kissed him. Hard. Because this man was trying to become someone worthy of her. 6 months, she whispered. Promise me. I promise. And then I'll help you bring your mother here. Your sisters. Everyone. All legal. She wanted to believe him so badly. But men like Baek Joon-seo don't just walk away from empires built on blood. Across the city, Mr. Kong reviewed the security footage from that evening.
Wat should Madame slap Nia?
Watched Nia pick up money from the floor. He smiled and made a copy, sending it to Madame Han's personal email with a note. Proof that we discipline the foreign worker appropriately. The email sat in Madame Han's inbox for 3 hours before her assistant forwarded it to their legal team. But digital files travel in the shadows of Seoul's underworld. An informant recognized Nia from near Joon-seo's legitimate properties. He forwarded the video to Min-jun with a simple message. Thought the boss should see this. Min-jun opened it at 2 a.m, watched it 3 times. Then he drove straight to Joon-seo's office. Joon-seo was reviewing exit contracts. More businesses to liquidate. More ties to cut. He was actually doing it. Min-jun entered without knocking.
Boss.
Stop what you're doing and watch this. He set the laptop on the desk and pressed play. Joon-seo watched. His face didn't move. But Min-jun had seen that look before. The stillness before the storm. When did this happen? 2 nights ago. The night she told you she bumped into a cabinet. Joon-seo's hands gripped the desk. His knuckles turned white. The woman who struck her. Who is she? Min-jun pulled up a file.
Han Soo-jin.
Married to Han Jin-woo, presidential candidate, billionaire family, major political donor, connected to half the power players in Seoul, untouchable. The word hung in the air. Boss, Min-jun said carefully. Just say the word. I can have her.
No.
Boss. I said no. We don't touch her. Not physically.
Min-jun frowned.
I don't understand. She hurt Nia. Nia lied to me because she knew exactly what I do. What I've always done. Joon-seo walked to the window. She's trying to help me become better. And the moment something happens, I want to revert to what I've always been. So we do nothing? Joon-seo's eyes went cold. The eyes of the Black Tiger. I didn't say that. Find out everything about Han Soo-jin and her husband.
Finance.
Deals. Skeletons. Every person they've hurt. Every law they've broken. Every secret they've buried.
Min-jun smiled darkly.
And then we take away everything she loves. Not with violence. With truth. Min-jun's team worked through the night like surgical instruments cutting through layers of lies. By dawn, they'd uncovered what took most investigative journalists years to find. The Hans weren't just wealthy. They were corrupt to their core. Illegal campaign donations funneled through shell companies. 2 billion won in tax evasion. Offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands. Construction contracts awarded to Han Jin-woo's brother's company in exchange for kickbacks. Environmental regulations bypassed. Safety inspections bought. But it was the videos that made Min-jun's blood run cold.
Madame Hans skrimming her Filippiner med for burning ris.
You people are all the same. Stupid and useless. Madame Han slapping her Nepalese driver for being 5 minutes late. I should have hired a Korean. At least they understand punctuality. Madame Han firing her Vietnamese nanny on the spot. Take your dirty hands off my son. I don't want him catching whatever diseases you people carry. Years of abuse. Dozens of victims. All caught on security cameras that the Hans never bothered to erase because they never thought they'd face consequences. Min-jun compiled everything into a single encrypted file and brought it to Joon-seo at 6 a.m. Joon-seo hadn't slept. He stood at his window, watching Seoul wake up, his reflection ghostly in the glass. It's worse than we thought, Min-jun said, opening the laptop. Joon-seo watched the videos in silence. His expression never changed, but Min-jun noticed his jaw tightening with each new clip. How many? Joon-seo asked quietly. 14 foreign workers over the past 6 years. All documented. All on video. And the financial crimes? Enough to put Han Jin-woo away for 20 years. His wife as an accomplice for at least 10. Joon-seo nodded slowly. Begin Phase 1. Anonymous tips to the National Tax Service and the Board of Elections. Make sure the evidence is airtight. I want no room for their lawyers to maneuver. And the videos?
Not yet.
We save those. Let them think it's just about money first. Joon-seo turned from the window. I want them to feel the ground crumbling beneath them one piece at a time. Boss, there's something else. Min-jun pulled up a list of names. Madam Han is hosting a charity gala next week. 500 guests. Seoul's entire elite. She's raising money for, he almost laughed, migrant worker assistance programs. Joon-seo's eyes narrowed. The irony. Should we cancel it? Every single donor. I don't care what it takes. Call in favors. Make threats. Remind people that their businesses depend on staying in our good graces.
Min-jun grint.
It would be my pleasure. 72 hours. That's all it took to dismantle a family's entire legacy. Hour 12. The National Tax Service received an anonymous tip with 1,700 pages of documentation. They opened an official investigation within 2 hours. Hour 18. The first news article dropped. Presidential candidate under investigation for tax evasion. Han Jin-woo's poll numbers plummeted 15 points overnight. Hour 24. Madam Han's phone rang continuously. Donor after donor calling to cancel their gala attendance. Some offered weak excuses. Others were more honest. I received a call suggesting it would be unwise to associate with your family right now. Who called you?
Madame undemanded.
I don't know. But the voice made it very clear that my construction permits might face delays if I attended. She tried calling her husband. He didn't answer. He was in an emergency meeting with his campaign staff, watching his presidential dreams evaporate. Hour 36. The Board of Elections announced a formal investigation into campaign finance violations. Hour 42. The videos leaked. Not to major news networks. To social media, where they spread like wildfire. The comments were vicious. This is who wants to be First Lady? Disgusting. My cousin is a domestic worker from the Philippines. This made me cry. People like her are why foreign workers are afraid to report abuse. She should be in prison, not at charity galas. Hour 48. An anonymous buyer offered to purchase the restaurant chain where Nia worked. 50 billion won. 20% above market value. The offer would expire in 1 hour. The CEO called an emergency board meeting. The vote was unanimous.
Sold.
The new owner's first action came via email to all 7 locations. Effective immediately, Mr. Kong, general manager, terminated for enabling workplace abuse. All security personnel present during assault of employee Nia Mensah, terminated. New policies, mandatory anti-harassment training, panic buttons installed in all service areas, zero tolerance for abuse of any employee regardless of nationality. Mr. Kong read the email 3 times before it sank in.
20 years with the company. Gone.
Because of one African waitress. He tried calling the corporate office. No one answered. Hour 60. Han Jin-woo stood at a podium, hands shaking, reading a statement his lawyers had drafted. Due to unforeseen family matters and recent allegations that I intend to address fully, I am withdrawing from the presidential race effective immediately. I maintain my innocence and look forward to clearing my name. Reporters shouted questions. He answered none of them. His political career, 30 years of climbing, networking, compromising, scheming, ended in 90 seconds. Hour 72. A courier delivered an envelope to Madam Han's home. Expensive cardstock. Elegant calligraphy. You are cordially invited to dinner at the Gangnam Private Dining Club. Table 7. 8 p.m. tonight. Come alone. Her hands trembled holding it. She knew Table 7. That's where she'd slapped the African girl. She thought about not going, about running, about calling the police. But she was Han Soo-jin. She didn't run from anyone. That evening, she dressed in her finest, applied her makeup carefully, put on the diamond necklace her husband had given her for their 20th anniversary. If this was a confrontation, she would face it with dignity. Her driver pulled up to the restaurant at exactly 8. The street was empty. Strange for a Friday night in Gangnam. She entered alone. The restaurant was dark except for one table. Table 7. A single man sat there, backlit so she couldn't see his face clearly. But she didn't need to. She knew who he was. Everyone in Seoul knew the Black Tiger. Her legs weakened, but she forced herself to walk forward. Baek Joon-seo gestured to the chair across from him.
Seat.
She sat, her hands clasped together to stop them from shaking. What do you want from me? He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he poured wine into 2 glasses. The same Chateau Margaux she'd been drinking when Nia spilled it. 3 days ago at this table, you put your hands on someone I love. You called her African trash. You made her kneel and pick up money like an animal. I didn't know. You didn't know she mattered? You didn't know someone would make you pay? His voice was soft, but it cut like a blade. Or, you didn't know that treating human beings like garbage is wrong? Madame Han's carefully applied makeup began to run as tears formed. You've destroyed my husband's career. Our reputation. Our lives. What more do you want? Joon-seo slid a document across the table. A prepared statement. Public apology. You will read this tomorrow at a press conference. You will bow 90 degrees. And you will mean every single word. She looked at the paper. Reading it would be social suicide. Admitting to years of abuse. Apologizing to every foreign worker she'd hurt. Please. I'll lose everything. You already have. Joon-seo stood. The only question now is whether you lose it with a shred of dignity, or whether I release the other videos. The ones of you telling your son that Filipinos are inferior. The ones of you at dinner parties joking about how foreign workers smell. The ones. Stop. She was sobbing now. Full, ugly sobs that shook her entire body. I'll do it. I'll read the statement. Joon-seo walked to the door, then paused. One more thing, Madame Han. If I ever hear Nia's name from your lips again, if you even think about her, what I've done so far will seem like mercy. Do you understand? She nodded, unable to speak. The door closed behind him. Madame Han sat alone at table 7, surrounded by darkness, and understood for the first time in her privileged life what it meant to be powerless. Nia was folding laundry in her tiny room when her phone buzzed with a news alert. Presidential candidate's wife issues public apology for abuse of foreign workers. Her hands froze. She clicked the article. The video loaded. Madame Han stood at a podium, her face pale and drawn. Behind her, no husband.
No lawyers.
Just her alone. I have treated foreign workers with cruelty and disrespect for years. I called them names. I struck them. I made them feel less than human. Her voice cracked. I am deeply ashamed of who I have been. To every person I have hurt, I apologize. I know words cannot undo the pain I have caused, but I am truly, deeply sorry. Then she bowed 90 degrees and held it for a full 10 seconds while camera flashes exploded. Nia's phone slipped from her hands. At first, she felt a rush of vindication. Justice. Finally, someone had stood up for her, for all of them. But then she saw Madame Han's eyes. The terror, the complete destruction, and the vindication curdled into something else. Horror. Because Nia knew exactly who had done this.
Her phone rang.
She stared at the screen. My tiger. She didn't want to answer. Didn't want to know. But her hand moved on its own. Did you do this? Silence stretched between them like a chasm. Yes. The single word hit her like a physical blow. Joon-seo, her husband resigned. Her entire life is falling apart. All because of me. All because she hurt you. I didn't want this. Her voice rose, cracking with emotion. I know. Then why? She was crying now, angry tears streaming down her face. Why did you destroy her? Because I love you, Nia. Because I will never let anyone hurt you. Because you are my queen, and anyone who touches you will pay. His voice was hard, unyielding. The voice of a man who'd built an empire on making people pay. That's not love, Joon-seo. She could barely speak through the tears. That's control. That's fear. That's exactly what you promised you were walking away from. Nia. You said you wanted to be good. You said you wanted to change. But the moment something happened, you became exactly what you've always been. A monster who solves everything with destruction. I was protecting you. No. She cut him off. You were being the Black Tiger. You were proving that you can't just walk away from who you are. And I. Her voice broke completely. I can't marry someone who thinks violence is the answer to everything. She looked down at her engagement ring. The clean ring. The one he'd bought with legitimate money to prove he could change. With trembling fingers, she pulled it off.
I'm sorry, Joon-seo.
I love you, but I can't do this. Nia, please don't. Goodbye. She hung up, placed the ring on her small table, and collapsed onto her floor, sobbing so hard she couldn't breathe. Across the city, Joon-seo stood frozen in his office, phone still pressed to his ear, listening to dead air.
Minyoon answered quietly.
Boss? Everything okay? She left me. Joon-seo's voice was hollow. Empty. What? She said I became exactly what I promised I wouldn't be. He set the phone down carefully, as if it might shatter. She's right. Boss, you were protecting her. Was I? Joon-seo turned to face him. Or was I just being what I've always been? A man who solves problems with fear and power. He picked up the exit plan notebook. All those careful plans to leave his old life behind. To become someone worthy of Nia's love. I thought I was changing for her, but I was just pretending. The moment she got hurt, I reverted to type. Destroyed people. Ruined lives. Just like always. So, what do we do now? Joon-seo closed his eyes. For a moment, Min-jun saw something he'd never seen before in 8 years of working for the Black Tiger.
Tears.
We finish what I started. Not for her. For me. Because she deserves a man who's actually good, not just a monster pretending to be human. If you're loving this story so far, drop a like and let me know in the comments, should Nia have given him another chance? Keep watching to see what happens next. 6 months passed. The longest 6 months of Joon-seo's life.
He didn't call Nia.
Didn't text. Didn't send messages through friends. Nothing. Instead, he worked. He sold the second nightclub. Then the gambling house. Then the smuggling operation at Incheon port. He severed ties with 3 rival families. 6 corrupt politicians. 12 criminal associates. Some of them threatened him. You can't just leave, Joon-seo. That's not how this works. Watch me. Some tried to force him back in. They learned quickly why he'd been called the Black Tiger. He might be leaving the life, but he wasn't leaving defenseless. He paid reparations to families his businesses had hurt. Anonymous envelopes of cash with simple notes. For the harm caused. He burned bridges.
Destroyer contact.
Erased connections. And he built something new. Something clean. Something good. He met with architects and contractors. Bought a property in Itaewon, Seoul's multicultural heart. I wanted to feel safe, he told them.
Warm.
Like home. But also professional. Legitimate. They showed him designs. He rejected most of them. More windows. Natural light. I want people to see inside. Transparency. And I want cameras everywhere, but not hidden. Visible. So people know they're protected. Construction took 4 months. He visited the site every day, watching it transform from an empty lot into something beautiful. The sign went up on a Tuesday morning. Mensah and daughters. He stood across the street, watching workers install it, and felt something he hadn't felt in years.
Pride.
Not the pride of power or fear. Not the pride of making people bow. The pride of creating something that might actually help people. Inside, he built more than just a restaurant. A legal aid office offering free help with visa issues, work permits, discrimination cases. He hired 3 lawyers who specialized in immigration law. A job training center teaching Korean language and professional skills. All classes free. A community space where foreign workers could gather, celebrate their cultures, feel less alone. And the restaurant itself. Beautiful.
Clean.
Safe. The kitchen had a menu board that made him smile every time he saw it. Nia's jollof rice. Auntie Grace's kelaweel. Wache Wednesday special. Nia's favorite plantains. Above the bar, a framed photograph. Nia's mother in her Sunday best, smiling at the camera. He'd never met her, but he'd spent hours with that photo, making sure it was perfect. The restaurant's rules were posted prominently by the entrance. 1. No harassment of staff, ever. 2. All workers protected by cameras and panic buttons.
3. Disrespect équal permanent ban.
4. Everyone deserves dignity. He hired carefully, looked for people who'd been hurt by the system.
Given them real contracts.
Fair wages. Benefits. On opening day, he didn't make a big announcement. No press.
No fanfare.
Just open the doors and let people come. By the end of the first week, word had spread through Seoul's foreign worker community. There's a place in Itaewon, Korean-owned, but treats everyone with respect. Fair wages. No abuse. It's real. The restaurant filled every night. Joon-seo rarely came during business hours. He'd arrive after closing, check the books, talk to the night manager, make sure everything was running smoothly. You built something amazing, the manager told him one night. You should be here more. See what you created. It runs better without me, Joon-seo said. And he meant it. This wasn't about him. It was about becoming someone who deserved Nia, even if he never got her back. Meanwhile, Nia was trying to rebuild her own life. She'd quit the restaurant where she'd been slapped. Couldn't bear to go back there, even under new management. Found work at a smaller place in Hongdae. Less prestigious. Lower pay. But the owner was kind, and no one hit her. She video called her mother every Sunday. How are you, my dear?
I'm fine, Mama.
You don't look fine. You look sad. I'm just tired. Her mother studied her through the screen. It's that man, isn't it? The one you were engaged to. Nia nodded, tears forming. Do you still love him? Every single day. Then why? Because loving him meant accepting violence, Mama.
He destroyed people for me.
And I couldn't watch him pretend to be good, while still being a monster inside. Her mother was quiet for a long moment. Sometimes people need to break completely before they can rebuild properly. Maybe you both needed this. Nia wanted to believe that. Wanted to think that walking away had been the right choice. But late at night, alone in her tiny room, she'd look at the engagement ring she kept in her drawer and wonder if she'd made a terrible mistake. 9 months after their breakup, Nia was walking through Itaewon after her shift. She'd taken to walking through the neighborhood sometimes. It reminded her of better days, when she and Joon-seo would explore the international restaurants together. Then she saw it. The sign that would change everything. Mensah and Daughters, now hiring. Nia stood frozen on the sidewalk, staring at her own name in golden letters. Mensah. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Her hands started shaking. This couldn't be real. It had to be a coincidence. Maybe someone else with the same last name. Maybe. But she knew. Deep in her bones, she knew. She approached the window slowly, like someone walking toward a dream they were afraid to wake from. Inside, the restaurant glowed with warm light. She could see families eating together. A Korean grandmother teaching a Nigerian woman how to make kimchi. Children doing homework in a corner study area. Workers laughing, genuinely smiling. Looked like home. She pushed open the door. A gentle chime announced her arrival. A friendly Korean woman approached immediately, her smile genuine and warm.
환영합니다.
Welcome. Table for one. Nia couldn't find her voice at first. She just stared around the restaurant, taking in details that made her chest tighten. Ghanaian Kent cloth mixed with Korean hanbok patterns on the wall art. A bookshelf filled with novels in multiple languages. Photos of workers celebrating birthdays, promotions, milestones. Who owns this place? Nia finally managed. The hostess's smile widened. Mr. Baek Joon-seo. But he's rarely here during business hours. He says the place runs better without him hovering over everyone. Nia's vision blurred with tears. Can I look around? Of course. Take all the time you need. Nia walked through the restaurant like a ghost haunting her own dream. She found the legal aid office first. A small room with a Korean sign and English translation. Free legal help, Visa issues, work permits, discrimination cases, no appointment needed. Through the window, she could see a lawyer helping an Ethiopian woman fill out paperwork. Next, the job board. Dozens of listings. All legitimate positions. Fair wages clearly posted.
No exploitation.
No abuse. Kitchen staff wanted Korean 12.5 m/month. Benefits included, no experience required, training provided. Translator needed, Korean 13 m/month, flexible hours, native speakers of any language, encouraged to apply. The community wall almost broke her. Photos of workers from Ghana, Nigeria, Philippines, Nepal, Vietnam, Kenya, all smiling. Really smiling. Not the forced smiles of people afraid to show their true feelings. Birthday parties. Holiday celebrations. Promotions. Achievements. Captions in multiple languages celebrating each person's journey. Then she reached the kitchen area. The menu board stopped her cold. Nia's jollof rice, made with love using Auntie Grace's secret recipe. Auntie Grace's kelaweel, the best fried plantains in Seoul. Wache Wednesday special, a taste of home. Nia's favorite plantains, sweet, perfectly ripe, just how she likes them. Her mother's name, her favorite foods, her home. He'd built her a piece of Ghana in the heart of Seoul. Nia's knees went weak. She gripped the counter to steady herself. Then she saw it. Above the bar. Framed in beautiful wood. The same photo that sat on her tiny table back in her room. Her mother. In her Sunday best. The purple dress she wore to church. The smile that could light up any room. Nia broke down completely. Tears streamed down her face. Her whole body shook with sobs she couldn't control. The hostess rushed over with water. Are you okay? Should I call someone? That's my mother. Nia could barely speak through the crying. That's my mother. The hostess's eyes widened, then filled with tears of her own. You're Nia? You're Nia Mensah? Nia nodded, unable to form words. The hostess took her hands gently. Mr. Baek talks about you. Not often because I think it hurts too much. But when he does. She smiled through her own tears. He calls you the woman who taught me what it means to be human. Fresh sobs racked Nia's body. Where is he? He usually comes by after closing. Around 11. Just to lock up and make sure everything's ready for tomorrow. Nia looked at her watch through blurry vision. 10:47. Can I wait? The hostess squeezed her hands. I think he'd want you to. The next hour was the longest of Nia's life. She sat at a corner table, staring at her mother's photo, trying to process everything. He'd done this. All of this. And he'd never told her. Never called to brag. Never sent photos. Never asked for credit. He'd just built it. For her. For people like her. The restaurant closed at 11. Workers cleaned up, said their goodbyes, filtered out into the Seoul night. The hostess approached Nia one last time. I'm heading out. He should be here any minute. Good luck. Thank you. Nia sat alone in the empty restaurant. Her heart beat so hard she thought it might break through her chest. At 11:15, she heard a key in the lock. The door opened. Joon-seo walked in wearing jeans and a simple sweater. No expensive suit. No designer watch. Just him. He looked different. Lighter. The weight he'd carried seemed gone. He was checking something on his phone, not looking up yet. Nia's voice came out as a whisper. You named it after my mother. Joon-seo froze. His phone clattered to the floor. He turned slowly, like he was afraid she might disappear if he moved too fast.
Nia.
Her name on his lips after 9 months of silence felt like coming home. They stared at each other across the empty restaurant. 9 months of pain and growth and longing stretched between them. Mensah and daughters. Nia said, tears streaming freely now. My mother's name. Her dream. Joon-seo stayed where he was, maintaining distance. She deserved to be remembered. Why didn't you tell me? Because this wasn't about winning you back. His voice was soft, careful. You were right about me, Nia. I said I wanted to change, but the moment you were hurt, I became exactly what I was trying to leave. Joon-seo. So, I finished what I started. Sold everything connected to my old life. Cut every tie. Paid back people I'd hurt. He gestured around the restaurant. And I built this. Not for you.
For me.
Because I needed to prove to myself that I could be the man you saw in me. The man who actually deserved you. Nia stood, her legs shaky. Did it work? I don't know yet. His eyes glistened in the dim light. I just know I'm trying. Every single day. She walked toward him. One step. Then another. I was so angry, Joon-seo. For months, I was angry. He nodded, not moving. But I've spent 9 months thinking. And I realized something. What? You were wrong to destroy that woman's life the way you did. She stopped a few feet from him. But you were also the only person in that entire restaurant who thought I was worth defending. She reached out and took his hand. He flinched like her touch burned, but didn't pull away. I don't need you to fight my battles. I don't need you to destroy people who hurt me. But I need to know. She looked up into his eyes. Can you love me without breaking the world? A tear slid down his cheek. I'm trying. Every single day, I'm trying. Then try with me. She pulled the engagement ring from her pocket. She'd been carrying it every day, unable to leave it behind. Not as the Black Tiger, just as Joon-seo. His voice broke completely. I don't deserve you. Maybe not. She smiled through her tears. But I don't deserve you either. We're both broken people trying to be better. She held up the ring. I never stopped wearing it in my heart. I just needed you to choose to be good.
For you.
Not for me. And did I? Nia looked around the restaurant. At the legal aid office. At her mother's photo. At the menu celebrating her home. At the workers' photos celebrating their dignity. At the rules protecting everyone who walked through these doors. You built a restaurant named after my mother. You created a safe place for people like me. You did it without me asking. Without me even knowing. She slid the ring back onto her finger. Yeah, Joon-seo. You did. He pulled her into his arms like a man who'd been drowning finally reaching air. They held each other in the middle of Mensah and daughters, both crying, both healing. Miduwa, he whispered in perfect Twi against her hair. She pulled back to look at him. Your pronunciation is perfect. I had 9 months to practice. He smiled, that beautiful smile she'd missed so much. I wanted to get it right, for when I saw you again. If I ever saw you again. You really thought I wouldn't come back? I hoped, but I didn't expect. I didn't deserve to expect.
Nia kissed him then.
Soft and deep and full of 9 months of missing him. When they finally pulled apart, she was smiling. So, what happens now?
Now.
He tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. Now, we build something together. If you want to. I want to. 1 year later, Mensah and Daughters had become more than a restaurant. It had become a movement. 3 locations across Seoul. Hundreds of foreign workers helped. Dozens of families reunited through the legal aid program. Countless lives changed. Nia was now co-owner and general manager. She'd quit her other job and poured everything into building this dream with Joon-seo. Every morning, she arrived early to help prep the kitchen. Every evening, she stayed late to talk with workers, hear their stories, offer support. She'd helped her mother get a proper visa. Her 2 younger sisters were now studying at Korean universities, their tuition paid by scholarships Joon-seo had quietly established. You're giving too much away, Min-jun had warned him once. I'm investing in the future, Joon-seo replied. These kids will change the world. I'm just giving them a chance. This particular morning, Nia sat in her office reviewing job applications when the hostess knocked. Nia, there's someone here about the dishwashing position. Send them in. The door opened. Nia looked up and her entire body went rigid. Madam Han Soo-jin stood in the doorway. She'd aged dramatically. The designer clothes were gone, replaced by simple worn garments. The haughty posture had collapsed into something humble. Defeated. Her husband had been convicted of corruption. Served 2 years. They'd lost everything. The mansion. The cars. The social circle. Everything. Madame Han's voice was barely audible. I'll leave if you want. Nia's first instinct was exactly that. Yes.
Leave.
Get out. You don't deserve to be here. But then she looked past Madame Han at the wall behind her. At the sign that read, "Everyone deserves dignity." At her mother's photo. At everything this place represented.
Seconde chance. Seat.
Madame Han sat, her hands trembling in her lap. Do you know what this place is? Nia asked. A restaurant. It's a second chance. For people who've been hurt. For people who've made mistakes. For people trying to be better than they were. She slid an application across the desk. You'll start in the kitchen. Washing dishes. You'll follow every single rule. You'll treat every person here, customer and staff, with absolute respect. If you can't do that, leave now. Madame Han stared at the application like it was a lifeline. Why would you help me? After what I did to you? Nia's eyes softened, though the memory still hurt. Because someone gave me a second chance, when I didn't think I deserved it. Because I know what it feels like to be powerless. And because my mother taught me that mercy is stronger than revenge. Madame Han's tears fell onto the application, smudging the ink.
I'm sorry.
I've wanted to say that to you for so long. I'm sorry for everything. For hitting you.
For humiliating you.
For being so cruel and blind. And I know. Nia's voice was gentle but firm. Now show me you mean it. Madame Han picked up the pen with shaking hands and began filling out the application. 6 months later, on a perfect spring morning, Nia stood in a traditional Korean hanbok. The crimson jaggery and chima fit perfectly, the fabric flowing like water. Joon-seo wore a deep blue duromaji, looking more handsome than she'd ever seen him. The traditional Korean ceremony took place first. They bowed to Joon-seo's parents, performing the piebeak ritual. His mother placed jujubes in Nia's skirt, blessing them with children. Joon-seo's father, who'd initially been skeptical of his son marrying a foreign woman, smiled with genuine warmth. You saved my son, he whispered to Nia in Korean. You gave him back his soul. Then the scene shifted. A gospel choir, flown in from Accra at Joon-seo's insistence, filled the air with blessed assurance. Nia's mother stood in the front row, wearing traditional Kent cloth, weeping tears of pure joy. Her sisters served as bridesmaids, their dresses a beautiful fusion of Korean and Ghanaian designs. The officiant, a Korean pastor who'd learned to speak Twi for the occasion, smiled at them both. Marriage is a choice to see the best in someone, even when they show you their worst. To believe in who they can become, even when they forget themselves. Nia and Joon-seo faced each other, hands clasped. I came to Korea alone and invisible, Nia said in English, then Korean. I thought I was chasing a degree, a career, a better life. But I found something more valuable. I found a man who was willing to tear down his entire empire just to become worthy of love. Who showed me that change is possible, even for those who've walked in darkness. Joon-seo's voice was thick with emotion. I was a king of shadows. I thought power came from fear, from control, from making people bow. He looked directly into her eyes. But you taught me that real strength is choosing to be vulnerable. Real power is choosing mercy. Real love is choosing to become better every single day, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. You may kiss your bride. They kissed as two families, Korean and Ghanaian, erupted in celebration. The sound of joy crossed language barriers, cultural differences, everything that might have divided them. The reception was held at Mensah and Daughters, of course. Tables overflowed with both Korean and Ghanaian food. Jollof rice next to bibimbap. Kelawil beside Korean fried chicken. Fufu and light soup alongside kimchi jjigae. Music alternated between traditional Korean drumming and Ghanaian highlife. Joon-seo stood to give a speech, Nia's hand in his. I spent 35 years of my life believing that power came from making people afraid. From controlling everything and everyone around me. From being untouchable. He paused, looking around the room. But my wife taught me something I never understood before. He turned to Nia. She taught me that real power is admitting you're wrong. Real strength is choosing to change. Real love is becoming someone worthy of being loved, not because someone demands it, but because you want to be better. He raised his glass. To Nia, my queen, my conscience, my future, the woman who saved me from myself. The crowd roared.
건배.
Cheers. Nia stood, taking the microphone with trembling hands. When I came to Korea, I thought I knew what I was looking for. Education.
Opportunity.
A better life for my family. She looked around at the gathering, her mother, her sisters, Joon-seo's family, the workers from all 3 restaurants, even Madame Han sitting quietly in the back. But I found something I didn't know I needed. I found family beyond blood. I found purpose beyond myself. And I found a man willing to become someone entirely new, just for the chance to love me properly. She turned to Joon-seo, tears streaming down her face. You say I saved you. But Joon-seo, you saved me too. You saw me when I was invisible. You valued me when others threw money at my feet. You built me a home when I thought I'd never belong. They kissed again as the celebration exploded around them. Later that night, after most guests had left, Nia and Joon-seo cleaned up together, still in their wedding clothes.
Madame Han approached hesitantly, finishing her shift.
Mr. and Mrs. Baek? Nia smiled. Just Nia and Joon-seo.
Madame Han bowed deeply.
I wanted to say, I've worked here for 8 months now, and I've learned more about dignity, respect, and humanity washing dishes in this kitchen than I learned in 50 years of wealth and privilege. Her eyes were genuine, not the calculated society eyes Nia remembered from that terrible night. Thank you for giving me the chance to be better than I was. Everyone deserves that chance, Nia said softly. After Madame Han left, Joon-seo wrapped his arms around Nia from behind as she wiped down tables. Ready to go home, Mrs. Baek? Nia looked around the restaurant, at the photos on the walls, at her mother's portrait, at the rules that protected everyone who entered, at the life they'd built from ashes and pain and hope. This feels like home. Then let's stay a little longer. He took her hand and pulled her into the center of the empty restaurant. Soft music played from the speakers, a Korean ballad mixed with Ghanaian highlife beats that one of the workers had created just for them. They swayed together in the warm light.
Medevo, Nia whispered in Twi.
Miduwa, Joon-seo replied, his pronunciation now flawless. Outside, Seoul glittered with a million lights. Inside, Mensah and daughters, 2 people who'd come from completely different worlds, danced in the space they'd created together. A space built on forgiveness, on growth, on the radical belief that people can change, that love can cross any border, that mercy is stronger than revenge, that everyone deserves dignity, and that sometimes the most powerful thing a person can do is choose to become better than they were yesterday. The camera pulled back slowly, showing them through the window. The golden sign glowing. Mensah and daughters. 2 broken people who chose to heal together. Who proved that real love doesn't conquer all, it transforms all. Thank you for watching Afro-Korean Chronicles TV. Nia and Joon-seo's journey shows us that change is possible, even for those who've walked in darkness. That second chances aren't just about forgiveness. They're about transformation. Now, we want to hear from you. Do you think Nia made the right choice giving Joon-seo another chance? Should Madame Han have been allowed to work at the restaurant? What would you have done in Nia's position? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. If you believe in the power of redemption and second chances, smash that like button. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe to Afro-Korean Chronicles TV and hit that notification bell so you never miss our next emotional journey. Coming up next, when an Ethiopian doctor saves a Korean CEO's life in a car accident, she has no idea he's been searching for her for 10 years. The girl who gave him hope when he had nothing is about to discover he never forgot her. You won't want to miss it. Follow us on Instagram at Afro-Korean Chronicles TV for behind-the-scenes content and polls where you help decide our next stories. This has been Afro-Korean Chronicles TV, where love knows no borders. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.